into another fruitful program. But today we will deal with the human body, right? The human body is not just an intricate miracle A framework of just hinges and joints. It is also a network of over 89 million neurons firing shots, serious shots at lightning speed. Right? That is what keeps our body in motion. The way we think, the way we act, the way we move. That is what's responsible for that. And to set all these things in motion is the DNA. The DNA is like, an intricate blueprint that guides architect in building these massive buildings in town, cities and villages. Likewise, the DNA is a blueprint for building and maintaining the body. So we could compare the function of human, like our inventions and stuff like that, and compare it to the function of the DNA in order to simplify the complicated biological process and make it more relatable and understandable. With that said, look at the screen. Look at that area there, that is the brain, right? Now look at that area of the brain called the motor cortex, which is a crucial region of the cerebral cortex, which is responsible for planning, controlling and executing voluntarily movements. It is also located in the frontal lobe, which plays a central role in translating our thoughts into our physical actions. A damaged motor cortex can impact on your movement significantly because weakness or paralysis may occur depending on the location and extent of the damage. Weakness or paralysis, very possible. For example, damage to the primary motor cortex can lead to weakness or loss of voluntarily movements in the corresponding body parts, such as, for example, your finger. Your finger may be impaired to the effect that it can affect tasks like writing, buttoning a shirt, tying a shoelace, and even using utensils. You understand? With a damaged motor cortex, we can have serious coordination issues. A motor cortex plays a crucial role in coordinating movements. So damage can disrupt smooth coordinated action, affecting balance and gait, which is that smooth coordinated movement. Right? We could even end up with some contralateral effects. Right, some serious contralateral effects which is like, contralateral effects is like if the right side of the motor cortex is damaged, it will affect the left side. If the left side is damaged, it will affect the right side and stuff like that. So anyway, we got to move on. Check the parietal lobe. The somatosensory cortex plays a crucial role in our sensory experience and awareness of this physical world through touch, sensation like pleasure, vibration, temperature, the awareness of hot and cold, pain, the perception of discomfort through injury, and many more. Okay? Damage to the somatosensory cortex can lead to various effects depending on the location and extent of the damage. Here are some of the outcomes. Numbness or paresthesia. Individual will experience numbness or tingling sensation, paresthesia in specific parts of the body, The affected areas depend on where the damage occurred. Right? Look at the occipital lobe, located at the back of our brain. It is the smallest of all the four lobes. It serves as a visual processing hub, decoding the signal of our eyes, allowing us to make sense of what we see. This area plays a crucial role in language, reading, memory storage, and recognizing familiar places and faces. Right? Damaged occipital cortex can lead to vision issues. Here are some common symptoms. Partial blindness, which can be manifest as hemianopsia, where half of the visual field is lost, either horizontally or vertically. There is also quadrantanopia, which is quarter blindness of the visual field lost. Right? There is also cortical blindness, where the total vision is completely lost. Now, the temporal lobe is more than a memory processing masterpiece. It plays a vital role in long-term memory formation and storage. Addition to that, it plays a role in managing emotion and understanding language. You know why? Because the temporal lobe will interact with other brain structures and create new long-term memories. Processing sensory information from the ears and interpreting speech and words. Right? The temporal cortex is also involved in high-level visual processing, such as recognizing faces and even scenes. Damage to these areas will severely impair memory functions. Jano. Now let's observe carefully how the spinal cord is locked into the brain, and by extension, look how these lines are pursued here. Watch carefully, watch. Yes, keep watching carefully, because they are not just lines, they are signals, serious signals for serious reasons, right? Okay, we will know what the signals are for in a minute. We will get right back to the signals. Observe this carefully. Now this is a car. You see where that arrow is? That's the brain. That's the brain of the car, right by that arrow. You see where the arrow is now? That will come like how you were seeing that we'll call it the spinal cord structure in the human body, with all these things looking like cable, which is really signal, is like the gateway to all the connections to create that smooth function, right? So, and now this is the spinal cord with all the connections. You see those connections is not just a vertebrae cord or a piece of cord. It's for a reason. It's a serious gate to connection. That's the gateway to the connections to bring the body into full function. We'll see. Now this is a car. Watch the full connection in this car. Okay, this is another car. Also watch the full connection in this car, right? This one is an aeroplane. Watch the connection in this aeroplane, right? All these connections. Watch the connection in this human being. All these connections. You know what these connections are? This is the, what you call it? This is the control tower. This is our command center. Right? So this process you see in here with the human, with the spinal cord, with all these connections, that is the command center of the body. The command center. So we are a living organism. Right?
Let's Human check our DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is a molecule that carries the genetic instructions used in the growth, development, functioning, and reproduction of all known living organisms, including humans. It consists of two long strands that coil around each other to form a double helix structure. The primary role of DNA is to encode the sequence of amino acids that make up proteins, which are essential for the structure, function, and regulation of the body's cells, tissues, and organs. DNA is composed of units called nucleotides, each containing a sugar molecule, deoxyribose, a phosphate group, and one of four nitrogenous bases, adenine, A, cytosine, C, guanine, G, and thymine, T. In humans, DNA is organized into 23 pairs of chromosomes located in the nucleus of each cell, except red blood cells. These chromosomes contain the entire genetic blueprint of an individual, determining traits such as eye color, height, susceptibility to certain diseases, and much more. DNA is replicated and passed from parents to offspring during reproduction, ensuring genetic continuity across generations. So now, let's get a clearer understanding of our very own DNA by comparing it to our very own inventions. Comparing the function of DNA to human development and inventions. 1. Blueprint analogy: DNA as the blueprint of life. DNA, just like a blueprint contains detailed instructions for constructing a building, DNA contains the instructions necessary for building and maintaining an organism. Example in human development, an architect's blueprint dictates how to build a house, specifying the dimensions, materials, and placement of each component. Similarly, DNA dictates how cells should grow, divide, and specialize into different tissues and organs. 2. Instruction manual analogy, DNA as an instruction manual. DNA functions like a comprehensive instruction manual for the body, providing the necessary codes for producing proteins that perform various functions. Example in inventions, consider a complex machine like a car. An instruction manual provides detailed steps on how to assemble, operate, and repair it. DNA provides instructions for cellular processes, guiding the synthesis of proteins needed for various bodily functions. 3. Software analogy, DNA as biological software. DNA, similar to software code, DNA contains sequences of nucleotides that can be read and executed by cellular machinery. Example in human inventions, software in computers directs hardware to perform tasks. For instance, operating systems manage hardware resources and software applications execute specific tasks. In cells, DNA sequences are transcribed into RNA, which is then translated into proteins that perform specific cellular functions. 4. Library analogy, DNA as a library of information. DNA can be compared to a vast library where each book contains information on how to produce a particular protein or perform a specific function. Example in human development, a library contains books on various subjects, which can be consulted to gain knowledge and solve problems. Similarly, cells can consult different parts of the DNA to produce proteins as needed for growth, repair, and response to environmental changes. 5. Replication and transmission analogy, DNA as a photocopier. DNA replicates itself so that each new cell has the same genetic information, much like a photocopier produces exact copies of documents. Example in human inventions, photocopiers produce identical copies of a document to distribute information widely. In biological terms, DNA replication ensures that each new cell receives an exact copy of the genetic material during cell division, maintaining genetic consistency. 6. Translation analogy, DNA to mRNA to protein is translation of languages. DNA is transcribed into mRNA, which is then translated into proteins, akin to translating text from one language to another. Example in human development, translating a book from one language to another allows people who speak different languages to understand the same information. Similarly, translating DNA, genetic language, into proteins, functional language, enables various cellular processes to occur. 7. Error correction analogy, DNA repair mechanisms. DNA has repair mechanisms to fix mutations or errors, similar to quality control processes in manufacturing. Example in human inventions, in a manufacturing plant, quality control processes identify and correct defects in products. In cells, DNA repair mechanisms detect and correct errors in the DNA sequence, ensuring the integrity of the genetic information. Summary. By comparing DNA's functions to human development and inventions, we can better understand how DNA operates as the fundamental code of life. DNA's role as a blueprint, instruction manual, software, library, photocopier, translation mechanism, and quality control system illustrates its complexity and essential role in the growth, development, and maintenance of living organisms. These analogies highlight DNA's. We can also simplify the human DNA by comparing it to policy changes. For example, comparing human DNA to policy changes, particularly how regulations and policies evolve to address new challenges and needs, involves understanding their roles in adaptation, governance, and ensuring sustainability. 1. Human DNA. Genetic blueprint. DNA serves as the fundamental genetic code that determines the traits, functions, and behaviors of living organisms. Stability and adaptation. DNA is relatively stable over generations but can undergo changes, mutations, that contribute to biological diversity and adaptation to new environments or challenges. Regulation of function. DNA regulates cellular functions through gene expression, influencing development, metabolism, and responses to stimuli. 2. Policy changes. Adaptation to challenges. Policies and regulations are frameworks established by governments or organizations to address societal, environmental, economic, and technological challenges. Evolution and revision. Policies evolve over time in response to new scientific discoveries, societal values, economic shifts, and environmental concerns. Impact on governance. Policies govern various aspects of public and private life, including land use, zoning, environmental protection, healthcare, education, and economic development. Comparative analysis. Adaptation and evolution. DNA and policies both undergo adaptations to ensure effectiveness and relevance. DNA adapts through mutations and natural selection, while policies adapt through amendments, revisions, and new legislation to address emerging issues. Regulatory functions. DNA regulates biological functions within cells to maintain homeostasis and respond to changes in the environment. Similarly, policies regulate societal behavior, economic activities, and environmental practices to achieve sustainable development and public welfare. Longevity and impact. DNA stability ensures species continuity and adaptation over millennia, while policies impact governance, societal norms, and economic development in the shorter term, aiming for long-term sustainability. Universal versus contextual application. DNA's genetic code is universal across individuals of a species, providing a foundational framework for biological diversity and evolution. In contrast, policies vary regionally and nationally based on local needs, cultural values, and political systems, reflecting diverse approaches to governance and regulation. In summary, while human DNA and policy changes operate in distinct spheres, genetic inheritance versus societal governance, they both play critical roles in adaptation, regulation, and sustainability within their respective contexts. DNA ensures biological diversity and adaptation among living organisms, while policies shape and govern societal behavior and development in response to evolving challenges and needs. Both frameworks illustrate complex systems that require adaptive responses to ensure continuity, resilience, and progress. We can even extend in comparing human DNA to the daily important services like water, electricity supply, and even waste management. Comparing human DNA with the distribution of essential services like water, electricity, and waste management throughout a city involves understanding their roles in providing fundamental support and functionality. 1. Human DNA. Genetic blueprint. DNA serves as the genetic blueprint for all living organisms, containing instructions encoded in genes that dictate traits, functions, and behaviors. Cellular support. Within cells, DNA directs the synthesis of proteins and other molecules essential for cellular structure, function, and metabolism. Universal basis. DNA is universal among all living organisms, providing a common genetic language that underpins biological diversity and evolution. 2. City infrastructure, water, electricity, waste management. Essential services. These services are critical for urban life, ensuring residents and businesses have access to clean water, reliable electricity, and efficient waste disposal. Infrastructure network. Similar to DNA's organization within cells, city infrastructure comprises a network of systems, pipes, cables, treatment plants, that distribute and manage resources across various neighborhoods and districts. Supporting urban life. These services support daily activities, economic productivity, and overall quality of life in urban areas. Comparative analysis. Functional support. DNA and urban infrastructure both provide essential support functions. DNA supports cellular processes and organismal development, while city infrastructure supports daily life, economic activities, and community well-being. Network integration. DNA integrates genetic information within cells, regulating biological processes. Similarly, city infrastructure integrates and distributes resources, water, electricity, waste management, through interconnected networks to meet urban demands. Resilience and maintenance. DNA adapts through mutations and natural selection to ensure species survival. Similarly, city infrastructure requires maintenance, upgrades, and resilience planning to withstand environmental changes and serve growing populations effectively. Universal versus local application. DNA's genetic code is universal across all individuals of a species, ensuring continuity and adaptation over generations. In contrast, city infrastructure varies in design and implementation based on local needs, governance, and technological advancements. In essence, while human DNA and urban infrastructure operate in different realms, genetic versus civic, they both exemplify complex systems that organize, distribute, and sustain essential resources critical for their respective contexts, biological life and urban living. Both are indispensable frameworks that ensure the functionality, growth, and adaptation of their systems, whether biological organisms or urban communities.
Yes, okay, brethren, again. So now we'll touch on the immune system. The immune system is like a built-in hospital with doctors, nurses, surgeons, well-equipped, well-charged, response unit, everything up to par, right? So now picture our immune system as a vibrant hospital staff with white blood cells now operating, patrolling the hospital area like diligent nurses. So we have those antibodies working like serious securities. We even have the T cells and the cytokines. No, talking about the cytokines, let me talk about the cytokines. These cytokines, they play this crucial role in managing and communicating. Yeah, man. Cytokines play a crucial role in managing the body immune response. The cytokines organize. They are small proteins that act like messengers that coordinate the communication between the immune cells to fighting like infection, to regulate inflammation, and even maintain the overall body health, right? So now I think I have to make a disclaimer here. Even though this metaphor may serve in highlighting the immune system components, it still doesn't capture the full intricacies. Right? I am not a doctor, but remember these comparisons just provide a simple basic level of understanding, because the DNA and the immune system is really more intricate, more details, than this. This is just an analogy suggestion. This is just an analogy.
At least by now we should have a little idea of what the DNA really is. So now let's take a look at our immune system and its outstanding functions. Our immune system is our inborn health facility equipped with professional workers. Let's explore how the immune system can be metaphorically compared to a healthcare field. The immune system as a hospital. Innate immune system, think of it as the hospital's emergency department. It's the first line of defense, always on alert. Just like triage nurses, innate immunity quickly identifies threats, like bacteria or viruses, and responds immediately. Adaptive immune system, this is like the hospital's specialized units. It learns from past encounters, like experienced doctors, and tailors responses. B cells produce antibodies, like targeted treatments, while T cells, like surgical teams, directly attack infected cells. Memory cells, these are like patient records. They remember past illnesses, ensuring faster responses upon reinfection. Healthcare infrastructure and immune health. At institutions like Penn Medicine, researchers break the immune system's code. They use genomic tools, like advanced diagnostics, to guide treatment decisions. For example, COVID-19 immunity test, beyond antibodies, they analyze T cells' response to vaccines or the virus itself. Nuanced recommendations, a low T cell count might prompt a vaccine booster, while low antibodies suggest passive therapy. Precision medicine, imagine patients getting a detailed immune system picture for personalized care. So, just as hospitals adapt to patient needs, our immune system adapts to protect us.
Yeah, people, well, that's it. I do hope that we get a clearer understanding of ourselves, and we take everything serious, and we take good care of our health, because all we have is our health, all we have is ourself. If health fail, everything comes to naught. If health fail, everything dead. Love you. Blessed. Next time.